あと2分でオープニングセレモニーが始まります。皆様カメラオンでご参加ください。まもなくオープニングセレモニーが始まります。皆様、カメラはオンでご参加くださいませ。Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Now, I am pleased to announce the opening of the 54th Annual Intercollegiate English Oratorical Contest for Nitobe Cup, sponsored by Tokyo Women's Christian University, Queen's Garden Society. This contest is held with the cooperation of 一般財団法人国際ビジネスコミュニケーション協会、株式会社留学ジャーナル、株式会社 ECC、株式会社五建、株式会社武蔵境自動車教習所、公益財団法人日本英語検定協会、清水屋、株式会社マイナビ、株式会社ギャバ、株式会社ラカンスタジオ、株式会社ディスコ、株式会社プリントパック。
Next, I'm very glad to introduce you today's speakers. The first speaker is Mr. Koshi Sawada from Doshisha University. The second speaker is Miss Maika Ito from Keio University. The third speaker is Miss Sawa Mashiko from St. Paul's University. The fourth speaker is Mr. Shoki Sawamukai from Hosei University. The fifth speaker is Ms. Yumeka Hattori from Aoyama Gakuin University.
The sixth speaker is Ms. Miyu Sugiyama from Dosha University. The seventh speaker is Mr. Yuki Kajino from Keio University. The eighth speaker is Ms. Saki Yukawa from Takasaki City University of Economics. The ninth speaker is Mr. Shohei Hida from Aoyama Gakuin University. The 10th speaker is Ms. Lisa Takani from Tokyo Women's Christian University.
Now, the chief leader of Queen's Garden Society, Haruno Shimpo, will make the opening address. Ms. Shimpo, please.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony, Honorable Judge, speakers, organizers, and audience. Hello everyone. Welcome to 54th Annual Intercollegiate English Speech Contest for the Nitobe Cup. It is my great honor to give an opening address as a president of Tokyo Women's Christian University, QGS. In 2020, the COVID pandemic has changed our world system, and this year, Nitobe Cup held online for the first time. Today will be a historical contest for the Nitobe Cup because it have never happened before online, and it is our new challenge. Today's concept is sword. Sword is usually used as a weapon for fights. So it was determined to think what we can do for our future and our society by using our creative idea as a weapon. I hope that speakers' powerful and cool speeches will reach many people's hearts. Finally, thank you for joining and supporting this contest. I hope that today will be valuable for all of you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Shimpo.
Next, I'm very glad to introduce you to today's judges. Mr. Jeffrey C. Miller. Mr. Jeffrey C. Miller was born and raised in New York City. He earned his BA and MA in Comparative Cultural Studies from Sophia University in Tokyo. He taught at St. Joseph International School, Hakuo University, Waseda University, and worked on the Daigaku News Center test. Now, he is Professor Emeritus of Hakuo University, as well as lecturer at Seitoku University and Tokyo Jikei Ika Daigaku Daigakuin. He also was an Eiken Nikyu examiner from 1980 to 2017, and frequently judges the major university and secondary school speech contests around Japan.
Ms. Chikako Tsuruta. Ms. Chikako Tsuruta is a conference interpreter and broadcast interpreter with CNN and NHK. She is a professor at Tokyo Women's Christian University, professor emeritus at Tokyo University of Foreign Studies. She has been teaching speaking and serves occasionally as a judge at speech contests. She is a graduate of Columbia Graduate School of Business Administration and Sophia University. She is a member of Association for International Conference Interpreter Studies and director of the American-Japan Society. She has public speaking duties and those capacities as well.
Mr. Ryoichiro Kobayashi. Mr. Ryoichiro Kobayashi is an assistant professor, Tokyo University of Agriculture, MA in Linguistics. Chief of the Speech Section, Sophia University, ESS 2012. He has judged speech contests including Golden Cup, Jewel Cup, Nitobe Cup, Amano Trophy, etc. First prize, Ogawa Cup 2011, Mikami Cup, Nitobe Cup, and the Williams Cup 2012. Second prize, Sophia Cup, Mikami Cup 2011, East Japan Cup, Oki Trophy 2012, and the Todai Trophy 2013. Third prize, Golden Cup 2010, Waseda Trophy, Jewel Cup 2011, Waseda Trophy, and Suikawa Cup 2012, among others.
Next, I would like to introduce today's timekeeper. Today's timekeeper is Mei Tsuchiyama and Kanon Kihara
and Eriko Tsuchiya of being Master of Ceremony. Before starting the speeches, I'd like to explain the rules of this contest. This contest consists of prepared speeches within 7.5 minutes and 4 minutes question and answer period after that. Each prepared speech should be finished within 7.5 minutes. When the speech exceeds 7.5 minutes, the speaker can continue for 8 minutes. However, the points will be deducted. If the speaker presents his or her speech over 8 minutes, I will stop the presentation.
Before the speaker starts his or her speech, the timekeeper will show the number 8, like this. When the speaker starts speaking, the timekeeper will show the number 7. This card indicates that the speaker has less than 8 minutes left, less than 7 minutes left, less than 6 minutes left, 5, 4, 3, 2, less than 1 minute left, less than 30 seconds left, less than 15 seconds left. After 8 minutes passed, the card will be turned over.
Today's speakers were chosen from many participants in the elimination contest, which was judged by Mr. Timothy J. Wright, Mr. Matthew Miller, and Mr. Rippei Yoshinaga.
The concept of 54th Nitobe Cup is sword, think out of the box, break a new world. Now, I will show you the opening movie. Everyone, please turn off your camera.
That's the end of the opening ceremony. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Let's begin the speeches now. I would like to welcome the first speaker. The first speaker is Mr. Koshi Sawada from Doshisha University. The title of his speech is Let's Detect the Silent Killer. Let's Detect the Silent Killer. Mr. Sawada, would you break a new world with your sword?
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Chairperson and distinguished judges. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. One gloomy day, a silent killer attacked a man. As he was silent, he did not notice that. However, all of a sudden, he felt sharp pain from his left foot. He took a look at it and realized that it was becoming necrotic moment by moment. So he rushed to the hospital, and the doctor said, "I'm sorry to give you the bad news, but you will have to cut off your left leg." Anxiety and fear reigned over his emotions. He was in shock, to say the least. Finally, his leg could return, no matter how strongly he wished. Then, what is the silent killer? Is it killer you can see in the movie, such as Chucky, Pennywise, or Jason? No, actually, the silent killer is diabetes, 糖尿病 in Japanese. So today, I'd like to share a way to protect yourself from the silent killer. And through my speech, I want to create a well-informed society where everyone can detect diabetes in its early stages. Diabetes is a common disease. Today, 3 million Japanese people are diagnosed with diabetes. It raises blood glucose level and causes various symptoms, which are painful and can ruin our life. So, why is early detection the most important thing? That's because diabetes is silent. So its symptoms get worse without our awareness. Therefore, you have to detect diabetes before it is too late. However, nowadays, about 14% of Japanese people cannot detect diabetes in its early stages, according to the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare. So everyone, let's take a look at your screen and choose 7 people. Mathematically, the silent killer is hiding in one of them. It is an awful situation, isn't it? And diabetes is a killer, so such people will be diabetic and suffer. Diabetes leads to serious symptoms. It's gonna be negative impact on blood vessels and nerves. Finally, it causes serious illnesses everywhere on the body. For example, eyes problem, necrosis, heart, and brain inflammation. So if you're diabetic, you have high possibility to lose your sight, legs, and even your life. Before further talking about the cause, let me share one personal story. Unfortunately, my grandmother became diabetic. When I was a child, she went to hospital regularly to get her medical check because she wanted to keep being healthy. However, one day, she became a diabetic. It was very strange. Why could the silent killer hide in her body? When I heard this story, something didn't sit right with me. For early detection, the most important thing is to notice an initial sign, which is high blood sugar after meals. However, like my grandmother, a lot of people miss out on this sign. So what is the cause? The main cause is blood test condition in medical check. When you get a medical check, you cannot eat anything before blood test. However, Dr. Motaro Hojo said that an initial sign appears after meals. So because of this gap, a lot of people miss out on the sign of high blood sugar. Therefore, it is difficult to detect the silent killer in its early stages, whether you often get a medical check or not. Knowing this goes, you may think that we should change such condition right now. But there is reverse in the logical order. That's because blood test after meals will not be able to detect a lot of diseases. So current condition is appropriate for health checkup. In this situation, what should we do to escape from the silent killer? So today, I'd like to suggest a very simple proposal. That is using blood donation, kenketsu in Japanese. Well, how is it related to early detection? In fact, blood donation centers have testing services which can detect diabetes in its early stages. Did you know that? This test is the same way as hospitals that specialize in diabetes. So by using this method, you can detect the silent killer in its early stages without worrying about being tested before or after meals. And furthermore, you can hit two birds with one stone, because not only you can get tested for yourself, but also you can give helping hand to people who may need your blood. So this suggestion is so effective for your health and for our society. Let me explain this suggestion specifically. Firstly, the process. When you go to blood donation center for the first time, you fill in your profile by answering a few questions, and you can register for the test. So easy, right? 2 weeks after donation, you can receive the result at home. And finally, you can find out whether you have an initial sign or not. Next, frequency. So, how many times should you use blood donation in a year? Actually, it depends on your lifestyle. In my case, I go to blood donation center twice a year, but I recommend you go at least once a year, because a lot of doctors and nurses said that once a year is ideal frequency of checking your health. Well, now I know you say, I'm scared of large amount of blood being withdrawn from my body. For such people, I suggest going to hospital, which is of course effective. But it costs 5,000 yen. So expensive, right? But everyone, blood donations test is free. So I believe using blood donation is better and easier. But to achieve our goal, I want you to use at least one of them. I hope you will take action for your health and for our bright future. On the gloomy day, where the silent killer stalked a man, it became bright and sunny, and he was able to escape from the silent killer. So ladies and gentlemen, what are you waiting for? Let's detect the silent killer. Thank you.
Question and answer period. Ms. Tsuruta, please.
Yes, good morning, Sawada-san. How are you this morning?
I'm so nervous.
Oh, I'm sure that you must be, since you're the first person to speak at this speech contest. Well, but it's a beautiful morning, don't you think? It's a beautiful day. And too bad you cannot come to a beautiful campus, but I hope someday you can come. Okay. My first question is, why did you want to talk about this topic? I understand about your grandmother's case, but why? Of all the things that you could have chosen for a speech topic, why did you choose this topic?
Yeah, the reason why I chose this topic is quite simple, because diabetes is so famous disease in Japan, and not only Japan and in the world. So this is a serious problem. That's why I chose this topic.
So I want to specifically ask you, so how many people die of this disease in Japan or in the world? Since you say, of course, it's a well-known disease, and unfortunately, there is not a very good cure for it once you get the disease. But how many people are affected?
Yeah, actually, in Japan, 6,000 people passed away because of diabetes a year. And in the world, I don't know the number, but according to World Health, and a lot of people passed away diabetes year by year.
You say that it's important to know early when if you have the diabetes or not, but well, you suggest blood donation as the solution, but what about those people? Like, I don't think I can probably qualify for blood donation anymore because of age or because of other factors. So what would you suggest to people who cannot use the blood donation as a way to get yourself checked?
Yeah, so as I said before in my speech, for such people, I suggest going to hospital, which specialize in diabetes. Because, yeah, so I suggest going to hospital.
Okay, well, I do get blood tests at a health checkup, but you suggest going to specialized hospital because why? Why do you suggest going to a specialized hospital to get a blood test? Because you do get blood test at your health checkup anyway.
Okay, so because in normal hospital, you cannot detect the diabetes in its early stages because you are required fasting before blood test. But hospitals specialized in diabetes use glucoalbumin inspection. This test is so effective to detect the diabetes in its early stages without worrying about being tested before or after meals.
Okay, thank you. And well, unfortunately, I think the situation under this COVID-19 is a bit difficult now because of the people trying to get tests, and maybe the centers are a little bit overwhelmed at the moment. But normally you say, yes, I understood from your speech that you have to have not stomach empty, but rather full to get the test in order to get good results. Okay, so how many times did you actually get your blood test or through blood donation to get yourself in check?
Yeah, I went to blood donation 3 times.
3 times, okay. And you feel safe this way?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So thank you very much. I think the time is up, and thank you very much for coming to Nitobe Cup. Okay,
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Ms. Tsuruta and Mr. Sawada. Now it's judging time.
Let me call the second speaker. The second speaker is Ms. Maika Ito from Keio University. The title of her speech is Spend Time Alone. Spend time alone. Miss Ito, would you break a new word with your sword?
Sure. Thank you, Master Ceremonies, honorable judges, questioner, and the timekeeper. Hello, everyone. The leader asks all of you, who agree with this plan? You look around. You see many people raising their hands. Without thinking deep about plan, your hand is already in the air. Okay, so what is happening here? There's something bad happening. Yes, the thing is, you agree because many people agree. You make a choice assuming majority is right. You make a choice with having your own belief. Have you ever had the same kind of experience in your real life? Solomon Ash, I guess a psychologist, proved that if there's a majority pressure, about 75% people can't stick to what they believe to be right, even though they realize it. Since life is a series of choices and never turns back like a clock, I feel a strong need to avoid this situation. So today, I'm here to let you know the importance of sticking to what you believe to be right. I hope this speech will become an encouragement for you to believe your own judgment. Well, there's no guarantee the majority is always right. So it means there's a possibility that you make a wrong choice affected by the majority pressure. If you make a wrong choice in experiment or quiz competition, there's nothing to worry about. However, what if you make the wrong choice which affects you or others? A few months ago, I was in a dilemma. That was when the government had requested to cancel or postpone events considering the spread of coronavirus infection. During that period, there was a plan to go to a non-urgent drinking party with some members. There were people who agreed to postpone the drinking party, but somehow the drinking party was decided to carry out. I got a line message from a friend saying, "It seems everyone will come. Do you want to come with us?" When I got this line, I suddenly thought participating in a drinking party might be the correct answer. Moreover, I thought it might be better to participate in a drinking party if everyone participates, because I have a feeling that I might become alone in the group. When thinking alone, I chose not to go, being aware of the danger and the risk of coronavirus. But when I faced the majority pressure, suddenly I was not certain of my decision. Then, what would happen if you ended up making a choice affected by others? It is you who take on the consequence of that choice. Let me explain with the coronavirus case, for example. When I had a plan to go to a drinking party, the number of infected people has been increasing day by day. If you go to a crowded area, you have the risk to be infected. Even if you don't have symptoms, you might serve as a source of infection. You might give your coronavirus to your family, friends, and co-workers. You might lose your loved ones because of you. There is a possibility that your choice might become a fatal mistake. It is too late to regret after something bad happens, no matter what your original belief would be. But how would you feel when all people except you chose a different answer? You feel anxiety, you feel scared, maybe you feel as if you are wrong. Then, here's a question I want to ask. What do people fear by nature? That is isolation. This fact comes from the evolutionary advantage, because in the survival, if you stay with the herd, you're safe. When you're alone, you will be tired. By acting like anybody else's, there's no need to worry of being isolated. The reason of conforming to the majority answers comes from the fear of being isolated. In order not to be isolated, people conform to the majority answer. However, when you make that choice, you lose something important. That is your belief. Sticking to what you believe to be right doesn't mean you're isolated, but independent. What you should be fear of is not isolation, but inability to be independent. If you could not make a choice for your own belief, you will live a life swayed by other people, although it is your life. That is why you should take a further step towards independence. Then, how can we become an independent person without being defeated by the fear of isolation? In order to trust your own judgment in any situation, spend time alone to think by yourself in your daily life. Because spending time alone is important to organize your thoughts. Bill Gates, who's one of the successful business leaders, spends time alone. That time, what he calls Think Week, led Microsoft alone to Internet Explorer in 1995. When you spend time alone, you will focus on your thoughts without the pressure of other people. Spending time alone gives you the idea they have not been aware of and forms your firm belief, which leads you to make the right choice. Turning off the iPhone and comparing the two choices ahead of me. Being different from the rest of the group doesn't matter to me anymore. Rather, I found it so sad to take on the consequence of the wrong choice by making an undesired choice. After coming back to my senses, I finally replied, I really want to, but not this time. Maybe some other time. Thanks to my thinking time, I could choose which I think is right. Still, I'm glad I could avoid the risk of losing my loved ones by my choice. A human is a rational animal, Aristotle once said. A human has a reason which other animals don't have. Every human has an ability to think by themselves. So my dear audience, please don't go with the heart because you fear social judgment. If you don't have confidence in your judgment, spend time alone to form your firm belief. Thank you.
Question and answer period. Miss Tsuruta, please.
Yes, Ito-san. Well, welcome to Need to Wake Up. And well, first question,
Okay.
I'd like to ask you, was this a decision that you took on your own to enter this speech contest?
Excuse, could you repeat?
Okay, was this your decision on your own to enter this speech contest? Or did you have anybody exerting pressure on you to be a speaker at this contest?
Actually, I decided by myself to participate this contest.
Okay, great.
Like they were to tell my story.
Mhm.
There were people who there are some friends I really get along with. Quit KSS, and there were times I was affected by my friends, but I spent time alone and think by myself. And I decided to continue this speech activity and decided to participate the open contest. And thanks to my spend time alone, and right now I am able to participate in the open contest. So I found that spending time alone is really effective way to find my best answer.
Okay, how do you make sure that you have time alone to yourself? Is there any particular time in the day that you particularly like to keep for yourself in order to have time to yourself?
In my case, I spend time alone before going to bed, and like I face my feeling, and I sometimes face my feeling into words, and I write everything, and this helps me to organize my priorities.
Okay, well, my question was, what time of the day do you choose to do that? Like, are you an early bird like I am, or are you a late night owl? You spend time late at night or early in the morning or during the day, or how do you make sure that you have time to yourself?
I do it in the night.
Late at night?
Late at night.
Okay, fine. All right. And what do you mean by social judgment? It was towards your end of the speech. Do you mean social pressure, or you say you fear social judgment? What do you mean by that?
Fear of social judgment is that it means that you fear of being different from others.
Pardon?
You fear of being different from others.
Okay. And another question I have is your, I think it was the second paragraph from the last fairy say, rather I found it shiftless. What do you mean by shiftless here?
I think that the word shiftless mean that it is not good for me to choose that choice.
Okay. I agree that in Japanese society, there is pressure to conform with the others. But what can you do to be different from others besides taking time to yourself?
Okay. What can we do? Okay.
Yes, because you have to be different in order to be facing this alone and keeping yourself apart. So how do you become different other than taking time off for yourself?
Being different is, I think that you can organize your thoughts, and organize your priorities is the way to being different.
Okay, thank you. I know the time is up, so thank you very much for your answers.
Thank you, Ms. Tsuruta and Ms. Ito. Now it's judging time.
Let me call the third speaker. The third speaker is Ms. Sawa Mashiko from St. Paul's University. The title of her speech is Conversation with Confidence. Conversation with Confidence. Ms. Mashiko, would you break a new world with your sword?
Sure. Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, honorable judges, organizers, and audiences beyond the screen. Good morning, everyone. It was a typical day in my dormitory. In the kitchen, in front of me, flatmates were making lunch. Is it pasta? Yeah, I love it. It looked fun. So, I want to join. I talked them and joined the conversation. No, just kidding. In reality, I was just sitting with my only supreme body, Netflix. I like pasta too. No, that's not it. Come on, someone talk to me. I said to myself. I didn't have a confidence to join it. I guess most of you have hesitated to join a conversation before. Today, I want to bring one topic to write. That is the art of conversation, a skill all of us have, but may not found yet. After my speech, I hope we can all hop into conversation adventure and find a feeling of excitement. We humans have conversation with people on a daily life. Why? Because living alone is impossible. Our whole life is made of conversation, such as getting information or making better relationships. Conversation is necessary for humans to live together. However, there are a lot of situations we give up. It happened to me too. In February, when I went to Australia, I was really looking forward to new encounters. However, when I talked with my flatmates, I was overly conscious of my talking skill. Like a hot day without water, my mouth came to a dry. I prepared a lot of topics, but everything just disappeared from my head. As a result, I have no friends, except Netflix. Well, let's look back on our daily life together. Did you join every conversation adventure around you? Imagine, in the new school time with your classmates, among a colleague, or in the dinner time with your family. Have you ever found yourself giving up despite wanting to join a conversation? Finally, instead of joining it, you would try to cover up the situation by taking your cell phone, won't you? So, why don't we have the confidence to join a conversation? It's because we think we have to be good talkers. Good talkers are people who have wonderful talking skills, such as interesting stories, fast narrates, and quick responses each time. Kellen Olste, who is a specialist of psychology, said that during a conversation, we are not listening to understand, but rather to reply. With my flatmates, I was conscious of the talking aspect. Is my talking really interesting? What topic is the best for them? Oh, they will like such a phrase. But when any interesting comment didn't pop up in my mind, I gave up my dream, being a good talker. Like this, we hesitate to join it because it's difficult to be a good talker in every conversation. But one day, I met another friend, and she changed of my view. Her name is Dia. When I looked at her hijab, I was very surprised because it was my first time to make a friend with a Muslim. I smiled at her, but I had no idea what to say. But at that moment, she talked to me. Hi, where are you from? I'm from Japan. I was very happy. The conversation was going on. But I wonder why I joined the conversation. So I said to Dia, I'm sorry because of my poor talking skill. She gave me a startled look. Your smile makes me talk to you and feel like we will be good friends. It's also conversation, right? Yes, she never killed my talking skill. Rather, my smile made the conversation begin. Then I realized being a good talker is not the priority in a conversation. The most important thing is how we act in the conversation. Conversation is not for good talker, but everyone can enjoy conversation adventure. So, how should we do? My suggestion is to focus on non-verbal communication skill. For example, making eye contact, using facial expressions, and listen carefully to the end. According to Leigh Bird Wisher, who is an interpersonal communication researcher in the USA. Nonverbal communication has a 70% impact on the conversation, while verbal one has only 30%. Once we realize it, we can change how we act in the conversation. We don't have to be afraid of talking skill anymore. And nonverbal communication gives us the confidence to join it. Yes, nobody wants us to be a good talker. The question is, if someone joins a conversation, do you expect him or her to have a very interesting story? Probably not. Rather, don't you expect the people who make a lot of reactions and make conversation friendly? We should be confident by using nonverbal communication skill instead of forcing us to be a good talker. If your friend is always making eye contact with a big smile and nodding your head with a lot of reactions, won't you be so happy and you can't stop conversation, right? And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm always doing. Making eye contact with the best smile. Sawa, your smile is the best responding I ever got. Such a words always remind me that it's not all about talking. Conversation is not for showing wonderful talk. Conversation is not the adventure only good talkers can survive. Conversation is for all the travelers to enjoy conversation chance itself. We don't have to be afraid of talking skill anymore. I really hope this tip gives us the confidence and changes the way of thinking about what conversation is for. Thank you.
Question and answer period. Ms. Tsuruta, please.
Okay, thank you, Mashiko-san, for your nice speech. And first question is, how would you define a good talker? How would you define a good talker?
Okay, thank you for your question. A good talker is like showing wonderful talk and like presenting good comment, like interesting comment each time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all right. So next question.
Yes.
In having a conversation, you
Yes.
need both person who's talking and person who's listening, right? So
Yeah.
in your opinion, okay. So in your opinion,
Mhm.
who is the person responsible for carrying on the conversation? Is it the first speaker, or is it the person who started talking, or is it the person who's listening?
Okay. Oh, it's a difficult question, but I think listening side can take care of conversation because they can their facial expression, they can use eye contact as well. Then if I hold talking tongue, I cared about talking side a lot. So listening side is good chance to take care conversation.
Okay, fine. And I also agree that, like you said, nice smile always helps.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I always smile when I meet new people. Like I
Uh-huh.
think you must be doing too.
Yeah.
Okay, so give me a bit of more information about the two people you brought up in your speech. I don't happen to know this Ray Bardwister.
Mhm.
Yeah. So why did you want to bring this person up in your speech?
Yeah, thank you. It's because I want people to know that nonverbal communication has more than twice impressions than verbal one. Like it means how you act is more important than what you say, like talking content. So I want to use this information to people realizing nonverbal communication more effective on conversation. And if they realize it, they don't have to be afraid what you say, like what should I talk, and they can realize, oh, conversation is more simple one, I believe.
Okay, but
Yeah.
provided you understand what the speaker is talking to you about. Okay, another person you brought up is Karen Austin.
Yeah.
And why did you want to bring this person up?
Okay. So I guess most of you have experienced that. Oh, what should I reply for this conversation? So this information shows that people tend to focus on replying and not listening and not like enjoy conversation opportunity itself. So I want to use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you said at the beginning, it was a typical day in my dormitory. So
Yeah.
how is your typical day in your dormitory go?
Okay.
Hmm.
Thank you for your question. The typical day is like flatmates were chatting, but I just hesitate to join it, and I just alone with my only supreme body Netflix, but I want to talk with them, so I want to change this typical day. So I use as typical day as the first thing of my speech.
Okay. Now, do you have other people, not just Netflix?
Yes. After I realized nonverbal communication is also conversation, I talked to flatmate, and after I back to Japan, I also use this art of conversation skill.
Okay, and this is out of curiosity, but what is your favorite drama on Netflix? Since
Drama? Oh no,
you watch it.
drama is I don't know how to say in Japanese. Crushing, love crushing. Oh no, okay, I will change. I love Gossip Girl. Yeah.
Okay, Gossip Girl. Gossip
Yeah,
Girl.
Gossip Girl. Yeah.
The story in New York. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So thank you for your questions and keep smiling.
Oh, thank you for your smile too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Tsuruta and Miss Mashiko. Now it's judging time.
Let me call the fourth speaker. The fourth speaker is Mr. Shoki Sawamukai from Hosei University. The title of his speech is The Form of Happiness. The Form of Happiness. Mr. Sawamukai, would you break a new word with your sword?
Sure. Thank you, Master of Ceremony and honorable judges. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. When I was a high school student, my sister played track and field. She was a star player in the 100 meter, and she shined so brightly. My whole family was very proud of her. But one day, my sister suddenly said to my family, I don't like track and field anymore. I want to quit. And we said, it's a waste. You have the potential to participate in national convention. As a family, we didn't listen to her inner voice, and we didn't accept her decision. However, 6 months after this event, we would strongly regret our action towards her. I believe everyone has had or will have an opportunity to consult with their family about any decisions, like choosing a job, getting married, or quitting some communities. Then, what did you say to them, or what was said by them? You should rethink that decision. I don't accept it. I guess everyone has had the experience of saying or being told these words. Of course, I believe every family member should always support each other for the sake of their happiness. However, even though we notice that, we sometimes ignore their opinion and break their happiness. That's why today, I'm going to suggest how to deal with decisions being made by people, not just family, but also friends, colleagues, or anyone close to you. I hope you will understand the difference of happiness between people and respecting their happiness. In the first place, why do we ignore other decisions even though we know we should respect them? It's because there is a gap between how happy we think they are and how happy they actually feel. In my family's case, we thought that my sister's happiness originated from being active in track and field and getting prizes or participating in national tournaments. But my sister's happiness was just from the enjoyment of running. Like this, we sometimes assume others' happiness by only ourselves. However, is it very good things that we don't respect the opinion and disagree with the decisions? Imagine a sweatshop you work to. The work is painful and you want to quit the factory. However, your friends or family don't agree with the decisions and they won't let you quit even though you pushed yourself to confront them. How would you feel? Maybe you would feel sorrow and you would not quit it even if you feel stressed out. In the worst case, you accumulate too much stress and could lead to some mental disorders. When we ignore other decisions, we may break their happiness. Half a year after my sister had told her decision to my family, she came to suffer from stress and was diagnosed as autonomically imbalanced. She often became ill, couldn't go to school, and finally quit track and field unavoidably. She began to build a wall around herself. My family felt so regretful and said, Why didn't we support her decision at the time? Why didn't we consider her feelings? She felt this pain because of us. My heart also always came to the thought, it is my fault. Not only my sister, but also my family suffered. Through my experience, I strongly learned about the important thing is we realize that the feeling of happiness is different with many people. We all have different values, and that is different even within our families. So we have to listen to their inner voice carefully and understand their opinion. For example, asking them like, why did you make this decision? What do you want to do? Of course, it is okay to give an option based on their feeling, but we should not blame them completely, even if they made a decision against what you think will make them happy. If we blame them, they will feel lonely and they may limit one's happiness within oneself. The form of happiness is not always the same, and we all have a right to get to equal happiness. Therefore, we should understand their happiness and respect their decision. But there may come a time when we don't accept their choices, even if we understand their feelings due to our worry or anxiety. In this time, we need to send them our concerns and worries by using our own words. By doing so, they can also understand our feelings. Then, if they change their minds, we should now think about our past with them once more, based on their feelings. If they still want to follow their own choices, please help them not to fail as much as you can. Please don't forget, when they are happy, we are also happy. Last month, my sister talked to me and my parents about choosing college. We listened her both of mind and asked, why did you choose this college? We are still worried about you because your symptoms are not cured yet. And she said, I'm glad to hear that, but I want to be caregiver. I don't want to regret. Then we understood her feelings and we decided to support her. We know if she's happy, we are also happy. Shakespeare left us saying, the choices we make dictate the lives we lead. Yes, the fact that they choose their way is important for them to get happiness. Through this speech, I believe that we all notice the importance of respecting their decision and their happiness again. The whole of happiness is completely different from one to another. Why not listen to their voice? Why not respect their happiness, their own decision, leads to their own happiness? Thank you for listening.
Question and answer period. Mr. Ta, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Samkai, for your nice speech. Well, first of all, how is your sister doing now? Is she well now?
Okay, so now her symptom not cured yet, but gradually cured. Yeah.
Okay, and well, she's well enough to think about what she would like to do for college, and that she says that she is going to be a caregiver. So at least she now has her way of thinking and idea for the future. So that, I think, is good. Okay, and you quote Shakespeare at the very end of the speech, but is this from which play? I don't think I know this verse. So which play is it from, or which poem, or in what play did he say this? Shakespeare say this?
Sorry?
Yes. Is this a line from somebody in one of his works, or which work did you find this quotation?
The Shakespeare's words. Where do I?
Yes. Which work by Shakespeare did you find it?
Okay. Actually, I use the Shakespeare's words because I respect Shakespeare. So I searched the internet, and some senior advised for me this sentence is so effective in these speeches. So I use this sentence.
Oh, okay. So you're being very honest. Yeah, I thought maybe this is from Hamlet, and I looked for that, but I could not find it there. So I was just wondering, why did you want to have this at the very end? Okay, another, I take a step back, and then I want to ask this question. What is happiness for you?
Okay, my happiness is, actually it is different. So my happiness was, in this case, in my case, my happiness was delivering the speech contest or watching YouTube every day. So that actually, in order to get happiness by ourselves, is the choices, making decision by yourself. So actually, this contest making decision by myself. So yeah.
Okay, right. And then how can we actually know how someone else, not yourself, is feeling? Because you say that it is important to know what actually that person is feeling, because we are all different. We all have different values. But how can you find out? It's a very difficult question.
Okay, how can we find out the others' happiness?
And feeling, yes.
Feeling, actually. Okay, so this is difficult, but I think important thing is we should talking with each other. So in my case, so we just assume her happiness was originated from the academic track and field. So actually, some people focus on their decision, their fact that they choose their decision. So I think that we should talk in conversation with each other. That it is the important thing for find out their decisions, I think.
And you said that it's important to respect the other people's values. Yes, that I totally agree. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tsuruta and Mr. Sawamukai. Now it's judging time.
Let me call the fifth speaker. The fifth speaker is Miss Yumeka Hattori from Aoyama Gakuin University. The title of her speech is Creating Who of Smile. Creating Who of Smile. Miss Hattori, would you break a new world with your sword?
Sure. Thank you, Master of Ceremony and distinguished judges. Good morning, everyone. When I was young, I had a special friend. I was 6th grade and he was only 1st grade of the elementary school. 8 a.m. More than 10 students who lived close to my house made a group to head to school. After we all gathered, I called everyone and made a roll. Every day, I had to hold his tiny hand because he was actually different from us. Students often stared at him and said, "He is weird." In fact, he had a disability called Down syndrome, which is called Down syndrome. This occurs by genetic disorder, which usually associated with physical growth delays, characteristic facial features, and mild intellectual disabilities. The boy also had a typical facial characteristic of Down syndrome. In his case, intellectual disability was in a severe level that he needed help in most of the action. Also, he suddenly started singing while walking, screamed loudly, or stopped walking without having any reason. Including Down syndrome, there are many people who suffer from other intellectual disabilities, 知的障害, in this society. Some of the disabilities can be seen from appearance, while some cannot be seen. Today, I want all of you to know the reality of our behavior toward people having severe intellectual disabilities. Here, I want to focus on persons who have such disability, which can be seen from appearance. I hope it will be a trigger for you to change your attitude toward them. In 2016, Eliminating Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Act has been enforced. Including myself, I think most of you here have never heard of this law before. The government took an action to make the situation better, but still, people with disabilities are discriminated from society. Now, to focus on people with intellectual disabilities, according to the data by the Cabinet Office in 2018, approximately 1,082,000 people are having intellectual disabilities in Japan. Also, it is said that about 1,100 babies are born with Down syndrome in Japan each year. This number seems not a lot, but let's have a close-up to our daily life. Suppose there's a girl with intellectual disability in your class. Maybe some of you will try to communicate with her. On the other hand, I think some might keep away from her, even though you know you shouldn't do that. That's because you may think she is something different from ordinary people. Such a difference can create clear divide in people's mind between the two. And it can cause hard life for people with intellectual disabilities and their families. As you know, people tend to feel uncomfortable by seeing someone shows hatred and strong bias to others. When you see a person who obviously shows prejudice, you would feel a bad mood, right? However, in reality, people may see one with such disabilities biased. The reasons of it could be the differences and low chance of interaction. I think the majority of people wouldn't have much opportunity to see them on a daily basis. Going back to my experience in elementary school, I was walking with a little boy holding hands. Since he acted freely as he likes, our community school wasn't so easy. But I loved to be with him because he was so cute, and almost every time he had a lovely smile on his face. And yet, some of the students kept staring at him. I think that was because little kids might have no experience to interact with those who have Down syndrome before. But what I was strongly surprised was that a mother of one student. I clearly remembered she tried to get her child away from him. Obviously. Obviously. I was so shocked. Why would I do that? I was only 11 at the time, but I knew her act was not the right thing to do. But of course, it is very difficult to change the way of thinking. How would you act if you were the mother? Try to keep your child away from him or don't even care? I am not sure, but I guess there are lots of people who act just like students' mom when they face the same scene. But the situation must change. So, as a very first step, I wish all of you to accept differences. I know it is very hard, so I want to introduce one simple and famous poem by Misuzu Kaneko, which actually changed my way of thinking about the society. Me, a songbird, and a bell. In short, it tells us we are all different, and that's what makes us wonderful. We tend to discriminate when we find a difference. But if we try to see each difference positively like this poem, bias toward people with such disabilities will be cleared away by degrees. Now, what should we specifically do? Turn your focus towards what are they good at and what can they do? For example, as for my special friend, he has difficulty with controlling his mind. But he is sociable and always tries to talk to someone with a wonderful smile. In contrast, I can control my mind, but I cannot always be sociable. If we find positive differences in a respectable part of person, we'll be able to accept the gaps instead of feeling strangeness. By keeping those in your mind, we can cooperate to approach a place for them to live much openly and much comfortably. When I was young, I had a special friend. He is going to be 15 this year, and his smile still makes me happy. Keeping their happiness requires a change in society. Your small changes will enable them to live free of stress. So now, together, let's create the whole world full of smile. Thank you.
Question and answer period. Miss Tsuruta, please.
Okay, so thank you for your nice speech. And why did you want to talk about this topic? Of course, I know that you had a special friend, and that's one of the reasons. But other than that,
Because I think this is a big problem in this society. I mean, as I introduced in my speech, actually the law that the government made exists, which is made in 2016. But actually, we don't really know about that. And
Okay.
we don't.
All right. And then how prevalent or how widespread is Down syndrome? Prevalent or how widespread? How many people have Down syndrome?
Oh,
Yeah.
Actually, in Japan, 1,100 people with Down syndrome are born in Japan each year.
Okay. Do we know the cause why we have this?
Yeah, like it's
illness?
like
Yeah.
it's because of genetic disorder.
Okay, so it's genetic disorder, and is there anything that we can have as a cure? Not yet?
No, we don't really.
Oh,
We don't still have no.
right. Unfortunately, so the situation is that we have to live with those people, and
Yes.
we
Right.
think we need to think about how we can have a society full of smiles, like you say. Okay. If you were that mother that you had coded in your speech,
Yes.
how would you have reacted? What would you have done?
Okay. If I were the mother, I would not just stare at him.
Okay.
And I think it would be good if we don't really have connection would be one of the good idea. Because helping them is kind of like is the fact that we are looking at them as a normal person.
Yeah, but how can we do to change that? Yes. What can we do?
What can we do to?
Yes, to not think that this person is abnormal. Yeah, I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yes.
So how can we do that?
In order to eliminate that kind of thing.
Yes, because you're very right in saying that we feel a divide in this society, unfortunately, for the people in majority and people in minority, unfortunately. And majority tends to, well, at least you don't have to go far in order to find examples like that. But how can we change that, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think we should change that our difference is kind of our personality. We should understand about that.
Okay. So I'm sure you've heard about those two words, diversity and inclusion. Yes, diversity and inclusion. In order to achieve a society like that with diversity and inclusion, what can we do as an individual?
The first thing we should do is to understand each other and accept that kind of differences.
Okay, so when you see somebody different, how should we act?